Hi, today I will be reviewing Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair for the PlayStation 4. So it was originally released back in 2012 for the PSP, but then it was later ported on other consoles. So basically, the story in this game, it takes place about a year after the first game, and what happens is quite familiar. So the main character this time is Hajime. He gets accepted into Hope's Peak Academy, and then basically shit hits the fan. So he goes to this school. He doesn't have any special talents or anything. He gets accepted, and then there's like a weird door, right? So he goes through the door, and then he's in this classroom with a bunch of students he's never seen before, and everything seems normal, right? And then suddenly there is a talking pink rabbit named Usami, and basically somehow she teleports them all onto some weird islands. Yeah, I have no idea. I have no words. Yes, they end up on some weird islands, and everything seems fine and dandy for a while, but some of them are scared. They're like, why am I on this weird fucking island? Some of them don't care. They're like, sweet, an island. Let's go swimming. Like, I don't know. Some of them don't care. Some of them are scared shitless. But the pink rabbit is like, oh, go have fun. Like, this is just part of like the school trip. Like, just have fun on this random island that I kidnapped you to. So yeah, and then our old friend Monokuma eventually shows up, and Monokuma lays it on them. He basically says, like, listen, you're not leaving this island. You have to do what I say, and that's basically it. Yeah, you better listen to Monokuma, or he's gonna beat your ass and probably murder you. So it's the same sort of deal. Monokuma, he says, like, if you want to get off this island, you have to kill someone and get away with it in trial, just like the first game. So it's the same concept as the first game, but instead of being trapped in a school, you're trapped on a few different islands. So that's pretty cool. It's definitely a change of pace. It's pretty refreshing, honestly. After the first game, being stuck inside the school the whole time, it's honestly pretty nice being outside in this one. So I like that. We have a new colorful cast of characters, which I will talk about in detail in a little bit. But I really like the characters in this game. At first, I wasn't too sure about them, but I ended up loving a lot of them. So yeah, the characters are just as good as they were in the first game, if you ask me. Gameplay wise, there's a few different changes done to the gameplay. Some for the good, some for the worse. So you still walk around just like the first game, but in this one there's also, in addition to the 3D hub worlds, there's also 2D hub worlds. So it's not just one island you're on. There's actually a few different islands, and there's a few different locations on each island. So instead of a giant 3D hub world, some areas you walk around in 2D, and then sometimes it'll switch to the first person 3D area, specifically the place with the cabins, like everyone's homes, and the hotel. That's all like the first person 3D area. And there's also later parts in the game that are in first person, but yeah, some parts are first person, some parts are 3D, and some parts you're kind of just looking at stuff and clicking on whatever you'd like to click on. So there's a little bit more gameplay variety. One thing I don't like about this sequel is when you're in first person, for some reason the camera moves really slow. Like if you're looking, like let's say you're just standing still and you're just like looking left, and like you're trying to just like turn to the left or turn to the right, like your character turns really slow. I honestly don't know why. Even if you go into the settings, there's nothing you can really change about it. So that kind of bugged me. Like, sometimes I felt kind of annoyed walking around the hub worlds because I thought the turning was just really, like, obnoxiously slow. So they also added a virtual pet. It's kind of like a Tamagotchi. So if you hit the options button, if you go down in the settings, you actually have a little Tamagotchi that you can play with, and basically it's kind of like it measures how far you walk. So while you're walking around the hub worlds in the game, if you walk a certain amount of steps, your little Tamagotchi creature will grow bigger, hatch, like do whatever, and sometimes it'll poop, and you have to clean up the poop. It also has a hope meter and a despair meter. Basically, if you don't take care of your pet, the despair meter will go up, and to make the hope meter go up, basically you just give it presents. Like if you give it like water or food, the hope meter will go up. And yeah, if you just walk a lot, it'll evolve. At first, I didn't understand what the point of it was, but I learned now that it gives you skills, and I think it also gives you trophies. So yeah, it's kind of a random addition. I was like, why is there a Tamagotchi? But honestly, it's kind of fun. One tip about it is if you run around, you'll actually have less steps than if you walk. So if you want your Tamagotchi to actually evolve faster, you actually have to walk like at normal speed everywhere to be step efficient. Because if you're running around or teleporting places, you might be missing out on some of it. So yeah, that's kind of fun. So the class trial is returned in this game. So like I said, there's a murder every chapter, and then at the end you go to the Monokuma Rock, and basically you have to do a class trial to find out who the killer is for every person. So every chapter someone gets murdered, and then you have to figure out who did it. So it's similar to the first game. You'll still have to do trials, but they're actually better in this game. They're more difficult, and there's a little bit more to it. So in the first game, basically you had to rebuttal people, but in the second game you can also agree with people with something called the truth bullet. So sometimes there's orange text and sometimes there's blue text, and basically there's orange text, and there's also sometimes there will be blue text in addition to the orange text. And basically the blue text is if you're agreeing with someone. So if someone is making a statement that you agree with, you can shoot a truth bullet at them that will basically confirm what they're saying. And you can also use someone else's words to oppose someone else. So someone could say something, and then you can use their words. Like you can use X person's words to counteract Y person's words. So it's a little bit more in depth. You can use people's words against other people, and you can agree with people, and you can disagree with people. It might sound like a lot, but it's easier than I'm explaining. It just sounds kind of complicated, but it's honestly pretty fun. And there's also different aspects. Sometimes there's like a word puzzle. So there will be a bunch of floating letters. It's kind of like Hangman. There's going to be a bunch of like blank letters, and then you have to figure out like what the word is supposed to be. So let's say the word is like knife. There's going to be a bunch of floating letters, and then you have to combine them. You have to be like K-N-I-F-E for knife. So you have to figure stuff like that out. And then there's also logic dives, which is kind of fun. Basically, you're in like a virtual skateboard, and it'll ask you some questions. It'll be like, what did this person do? Like, did they do this or this? And then you have to skateboard in the direction of the answer you have. So that's always fun. And Usually at the end of the class trials, it wraps up by having you fill out the complete story in a storyboard. So it'll have the entire storyboard all laid out, and there's gonna be a few empty pieces, kind of like a puzzle, and it'll give you the pieces, and you have to put them in the right place. So let's say there's like 20 pieces of the story. It'll like leave out like 5 to 10 parts, and then you have to fill them in to confirm what happened. So it'll completely confirm how the person got murdered and how the murderer accomplished it. And it's also easier than it is in the first one. In the first one, it didn't give you any clues to fill out the puzzle at the end, but in this one, it'll give you a hint. Like if you put your mouse cursor over it, it'll basically give you a hint for what the answer is supposed to be. And I liked that because sometimes in the first game, I would get confused by what the pictures were supposed to mean, but this one is a little bit less confusing. I was playing on the hard difficulty, so maybe the easier difficulty is easier anyway, but yeah, even on the harder difficulty, I found it a little bit more fair and easier to figure out than the first game. Also, these trials, I think they go on way longer than they do in the original. Like, I swear, some of these trials go on forever, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, they're really fun, but they're really, really long. Like, I don't know how long they actually are, but they can feel like multiple hours. Like, I swear, like they just go on for so long that it's like sometimes I'll think a case is over and then it'll just keep going, and I'm like, really? I'm like, how long is this trial? Like, they're crazy. Like, honestly, like they're crazy long in this game, and I mean, it's a good thing or bad thing. You can always save during them. So if let's say you're like an hour in a trial, you can just save the game and just turn it off. Like, you don't have to do the whole thing straight. There's not really like a time limit or anything. So yeah, don't worry about that. You can still kind of take your time with them. So I want to talk about a little bit of the investigations. Yeah, so this game still has investigations, of course. After a murder took place, you have to go around and find clues. You have to find bullet points, which are it's basically clues. You go around looking for clues of anything suspicious, which could have possibly have something to do with the murder. So yeah, you can still talk to people, look for clues. That's all very similar to the first game. One thing I like better about this game is so the Monokuma coins are back, but in this game, you don't get them by clicking on random things. So there's actually hidden Monokumas throughout the game. Some of them are easy to find, some of them are kind of hard to notice. So if you're, like, let's say you're just, like, looking, it's mostly during investigation sections. It's not really in the hub world or anything, but sometimes you'll look around a room and you'll see a hidden Monokuma. So if you click on it, you'll get usually like 10 coins or about that. And I like that a lot more because in the first game, I thought it was kind of obnoxious because you pretty much just had to click on completely random objects to get coins, and I thought that was annoying. This one, it's more fun because it's kind of like a scavenger hunt. Like, I was always looking out for the Monokumas, hoping to find one. So I thought that was more fun. So yeah, I like that about the game. So the cast of characters, I definitely want to talk in depth about some of these characters. At first, I'm going to be honest, at first I wasn't that impressed by them, but as the game went on, I liked them more and more. So yeah, I thought I loved the first game, so I was like, how could they have a better game than that? And I mean, honestly, these characters are, for the most part, they're just as good as the characters in the original game, which I'm happy to say. So the main character in this game, his name is Hajime. Honestly, he's pretty much, like, at face value, he's very similar to the main character in the first game. He he doesn't have any special talent that he's aware of. And yeah, he's basically your main character. He doesn't have any special abilities. He's just kind of your typical dude. And I mean, that's fine. You don't really need anything else for the main character. And then we also have Byaku. Yeah, Byaku from the first game actually makes a return. Except in this game, he's literally fat. Yes, I'm not kidding. The Byaku from the first game is fat now. Like, when I saw him, I was like, is that really him? Or like, is that just a guy? Is that just a fat guy that looks like him? No, that's seriously him. He gained a ton of weight, and he's still full of himself. He still thinks he's like the shit, even though he's fat now. It's kind of interesting. Well, when I first saw him, I swear, I like laughed. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, he's really like, are you actually shitting me? Like, he's fat now? Like, really? That's so random. I thought it was the funniest thing ever, because it's just like so random. Like, I swear, I couldn't even believe it. But yeah, he's back. He is egotistical, just like you remember. And yeah, I might talk about him more later. And then, who else do we have? We have Chiaki. So her ultimate talent is she's the ultimate gamer. So Chiaki, I actually like her a lot. She's really funny. All she does is play games. She likes sleeping and playing games. Yeah, that's basically her life. So at the beginning of this game, she's like falling asleep. Like, she has like a bunch of gaming handhelds. All she does is play them. She's either playing games, sleeping. Yeah, she's smart though. She helps you a lot throughout the game. Like, she's kind of always by your side for the most part. So yeah, I like her. Plus she's a gamer. So I mean, what's not to like about her? Like, she's really awesome. And we have Akane. Basically, she's the ultimate gymnast. Yeah, she kind of reminds me of that the girl in the first game that was a swimmer. Yeah, she's the ultimate gymnast. What can I say about her? She's very outspoken. Like, she's not afraid to say shit. She's kind of she's a very upfront character, which I like. She's upfront. She doesn't bullshit. She's kind of always speaking her mind. Like, yeah, she's definitely good at speaking her mind, which I like. Yeah, she's good at swimming. She is good at swimming too, just like the person in the first game. That's pretty interesting. Yeah, so she's a good character overall. I don't really have that many complaints with her. Let's see. So we have Fuyoki. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Basically, he's the ultimate Yakuza. From what I remember, he was in a gang, and that's pretty much his backstory. He thinks he's like a badass, and like he's gonna hire a bunch of hitmen to kill you. But he's not. What's funny is, like, he's not really that bad of a person, even though he's a gang member. He's pissed off. He's definitely pissed off a lot. Like, especially near the beginning of the game, he's really pissed off at everyone all the time. He doesn't really want to be a part of anything. He kind of just keeps to himself. But he's not really that bad of a person, to be completely honest. He's kind of all talk, no bite. That's from what I've seen. He thinks he's a badass, but he's really not all that. But he's a good character, definitely. Yeah, I like him. And then we have Gundam, I think his name is. He's really interesting. He's the ultimate breeder. So yeah, he has a bunch of hamsters, and that's basically his thing. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. I think he has like 5 different hamsters that he carries around. I think they live in his sleeves. I'm not really sure how he feeds all these hamsters when they barely have any food on this island, I don't think. Like, they have food, but I don't think they have hamster food. But anyway, I'm getting carried away. Yeah, he's pretty weird. I'm not gonna lie, he's cool. Like, he's pretty chill, but like, I don't know. I don't know why he brought like all his hamsters to school. Like, I don't think his hamsters asked to go here, and now they have to live on this island. Yeah, he probably should have left his hamsters at home. I'm not gonna lie. But besides that, besides me judging his pet skills, he's a cool character. Yeah. Who else? Then we have Hiyoko. She's basically, what is her thing? Yeah, we have Hiyoko. She's the ultimate traditional dancer. So yeah, she's really good at dancing. She looks, I don't think she is that young, but she's pretty short. Like, she kind of looks like a little girl. That's kind of what she acts like. She kind of just acts like a little girl. Like, she'll kind of pout and complain if she doesn't get what she wants. But there's nothing terrible about her. She adds a variety. Like, instead of all these people just being like older, she definitely adds a little bit of variety by acting more like a little kid. I know her favorite food, like in the game, like all she eats is like gummy bears and candy, and I think that's pretty funny. But yeah. And then we have Ibuki. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but she is she's the ultimate musician. So yeah, she loves music. She always has like a guitar with her. She likes jamming out. She has a really cool character design. She's really bright and colorful, which I really like. And she's always really positive. Like, she gets excited really easily. Like, I feel like she's always like having a blast. Like, in her mind, like everything is like a party. Like, she's kind of always having fun, and she's really upbeat. I liked her a lot. She was one of my favorite characters in the game. It's pretty funny. Yeah, I don't know. She's pretty funny. Like, this, I think she's one of the more unique characters in the game just because of how bright and colorful she is. At least in my opinion, she's really cool. But yeah. Then we have Kazuichi. He is, I think he's the ultimate engineer. So what's cool about him, yeah, he's really into engineering. So he kind of helps out a bit with the technological aspects. Like, he can build things, and like he knows how to repair things. He's kind of like a workshop guy. Like, he's pretty smart like that. He's also pretty, he kind of becomes one of your closer friends. Like, he gets jealous, he gets happy, he gets sad. Sometimes he kind of just acts like a normal person. Like, he's kind of relatable. He's kind of like your average friend's character. Like, he's on your side. Like, he doesn't completely trust you, but he usually has your back, and he has pretty good intentions. Like, he's one of the more pure characters. He has pretty good intentions most of the time. And then we have Mahiru. She is the ultimate photographer. Yeah, what can I say? She's the ultimate photographer. She's kind of a feminist, which is what I noticed. I noticed she always kind of talks shit about men, and I don't know, yeah, she always kind of has something bad to say about men. Maybe she's experienced something that I'm unaware of, but yeah, she's kind of a photographer and a feminist, which is an interesting combination, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, she's one of my least favorite characters. Not because she's a feminist, I just feel like she's always like in a bad mood. Like, she never really wants to talk to you. So yeah, I honestly don't like her. I think she's one of the worst characters in the game. Like if you're a big fan of her, I'm sorry, but I honestly do not like her at all. I think is she the only redhead in the game? But I really don't like her, and I'm sorry if you do. And then we have Mikan. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but she's the ultimate nurse. So yeah, she is a nurse, and she's really shy. Like at first, she's just like really scared and insecure to talk. Like if you talk to her, she acts really shy and insecure, which I don't know. Yeah, I'm like, why are you so scared to talk to people? But she's kind of a mixed bag. I'll get into some spoilers later, but I'll warn you when I'm gonna. Well, I'll warn you when I'm gonna get into some serious spoilers. But she's a good character, for the most part. Yeah, she tries to make sure everyone's in good health, and since she's a nurse, she's technically one of the more useful people in this game, because not everyone's abilities are useful in a situation like this. Like, being a photographer isn't going to save you, but being a nurse might have some practical application in this entire situation they're in. Also, apparently the reason why she became a nurse is because she was abused as a kid by her friends and parents. So she wanted to help other people not suffer like the way she did. So I thought that was kind of sad. Like basically she wanted to help others because she was hurt herself. And then we have Najito. He's the ultimate lucky student. Oh my god. Najito? Oh my god. I honestly have no words about this guy. This guy is absolutely insane. Like, I'm completely serious. He's the most I don't know. I'll spoil. Like, I'm not gonna spoil everything right now, but he's this Najito guy. He's absolutely out of his mind. Like, he's literally like he's the definition of a psychopath, and I'll have more to say about him later, for sure. And then we have Turo. He's basically the ultimate chef. He's a pretty interesting guy. So the only thing he really cares about is eating and having sex, apparently. Yes, this guy is a massive pervert, but at least he knows how to make good food. So that's definitely one positive he has. He's a pervert. I mean, what more can I say about him? He always wants to fuck someone, but no one wants to reciprocate. Yeah, he is the ultimate chef. I think it's in the game. It said it was because he liked cooking with his mom or something, or I don't know. It was something like that. But yeah, that's all I can really say about him, to be honest. And then we had Nico Maru. He's the ultimate coach. So yeah, he's really good at team leading. And what's cool about him is I think he was actually the coach of that Leon guy from the first game. So I think he coaches sports and stuff like that. And later in the game, something weird happens. I think basically he dies, and then he comes back. Monokuma makes him a robot. I was kind of confused about that. Yeah, Monokuma killed him and made him a robot, and then he ended up dying again. So yeah, this guy kind of lived a bit of a tragic life, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. He was an alright character. And then we had Sonia Neverminds. I think she's like the ultimate princess. She's basically a princess from a different country. I don't know. I don't know what to say about her. She's just how she sounds. She's a princess, and she really likes her country. She likes talking about her culture.
And yeah, I think she moved to Japan just because she thought she would just have like a better life, kind of, but obviously that didn't work out at all. And then we had, I think the last character I didn't talk about was who was it? The last character was Pico. She is what is she? She's the ultimate swordswoman. The ultimate swordswoman. I don't know, she's pretty intense. I think the only thing interesting about her is I'm pretty sure she actually knows one of the characters. The one that was I think the one that was a Yakuza, Fuyuhiko, whatever that one guy that was a Yakuza. I think she knows him somehow, but that was the only thing that's kind of interesting about her. I don't know, some of these last few characters I'm talking about, I don't have much to say about them just because I found them, in my opinion, to be the more lackluster ones. Like, I don't dislike some of these characters, but a few of them I don't really have that much to say about them, as in the game they didn't have a massive role, or I just didn't think they were that interesting. Like, most of the characters are good, but yeah, there's always a few that I don't really know what to say about them. And one really cool thing about the game is they actually have a part. There's like a really interesting part where you're inside of like a giant strawberry house and a grape house. It's kind of weird. So you go to this like amusement park looking place, and basically you get like put inside this weird house that's like half grape, half strawberry. It's really fun, but there's this one cool part where it's basically an escape room. It's like a whole reference to Zero Escape, which was also made by, I think it was made by the same developers. Yeah, so it literally will say like escape, and then the whole like Zero Escape interface will come up, and it's literally like a level from Zero Escape. You have to like escape this room, and it's really cool. I thought it was a really cool reference, as I'm a Zero Escape fan myself. I might review those games one day, but yeah, I played the first Zero Escape and I particularly really liked that game. And yeah, you basically have to find items and solve puzzles. If you're if you're bad at puzzles, I think you can actually skip it if you keep talking to Manami. I think she'll give you the answer anyway. So if you don't like puzzles and stuff, I think you can actually skip it anyway, which is cool. So yeah, I thought that was really, really cool. And let me talk more about Nagito. So towards the end of the game, he goes kind of psychotic, and basically he says how there's a traitor apparently, and he's like, oh, if the traitor doesn't turn themselves in, I'm gonna blow up the whole island. Like, he said he put bombs around the whole island, and he was threatening to just blow everyone up, which I thought that was pretty insane. So yeah, that was kind of, yeah, he goes full psychotic basically. He threatens to kill everyone, and yeah, that was pretty weird. And I want to talk a little bit about the ending. So the Nagito guy, I think basically he ends up killing himself, and he tries to make it look like someone else did it, if I remember correctly. So yeah, that whole thing was kind of crazy. But the ending of the game is pretty insane. Well, first off, the last island is basically like a military base. It's kind of like a Monokuma factory where all the Monokumas are made. So yeah, that's what the last island is like. But then the actual ending is really weird. So basically the game starts glitching out. Like, you'll see random numbers and stuff across the screen, and then you get kind of transported to this place, and then you're doing the final interrogation, or the court case or whatever. And basically It turns out that this whole game, like all the islands and everything, it's actually like a simulation. Like none of this is actually real. Like it's all just a simulation. And there's actually hints at that at the beginning, which I didn't notice. So at the beginning of the game, you're going through like a door, and it looks kind of weird. Like, but the reason why it looks weird is because this whole game is just like a virtual reality that was all constructed by Monokuma. I think Monokuma is like an AI, and like it's hard to like the people in the game are real people, but they don't actually look like that in real life. In real life, they might be a little bit different. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, but apparently if you die in the actual video game, they die in real life because their bodies don't know the difference. So all the people that died in the game actually die in real life, even though the whole thing is a virtual reality. And yeah, that's all pretty weird. And there's also, I wanted to also talk about something. There's also a part in the game, I think it was the second or third island, where basically Monokuma, he makes you play this video game to figure out one of the murders, and I thought it was cool because it was like it had like the graphical style of like a PS1 game. Like you're playing this like game with PS1 graphics, and it's basically about a high school girl that got murdered, and it basically shows how the character in the actual video game gets killed. So you have to play this fake game to see how the person in real life died. So I thought that was cool. I forgot to mention that. That's a pretty cool part of the game. But yeah, the whole game being a virtual reality simulation, I mean, I honestly didn't really see that coming, but that kind of explains a lot of things. Like how would Monokuma make like this giant? How would he make like all these weird islands anyway? I feel like that would be way too much effort, even for like a crazy person. And basically the identity of Monokuma in this one, I'm pretty sure it's like an AI of Junko. So yeah, it's basically a digitized version of Junko, if I understand it correctly. And yeah, at the end, some of the old characters come back from the original game, and basically they help you get out of the simulation. So that was a really cool part of the game. So yeah, at the end they get out of the simulation, and then that's pretty much it from what yeah. So most people died. I think only a few characters actually survived. But yeah, but like I said, they survived, but they're not actually the same person as they are in the game, which is pretty weird. So yeah, the story of this game is a lot more crazy than the first game. Like the first game was pretty crazy, but the whole fact that this game is like a giant simulation, it kind of takes crazy to the next level. Yeah, the whole game is pretty crazy. So I'm gonna stop rambling. Overall, what do I think of this game? I think, to be completely honest, I think it's about as good as the first game. I don't want to say it's better than the first game in some ways. Like if you like the first game, I think you'll definitely like the second game. The second game is definitely more feature packed. Like in the first game you have a school. In this game you actually have like different islands and different areas. And also, I forgot to mention, in this game you actually get to see the school from the first game, but it's basically it kind of turns into, it's like a decrepit version of it. Like it's kind of like you get to see the destroyed version. But like I said, it's in a simulation anyway, so I'm kind of confused whether the school is actually real or not, to be honest. So yeah, I think this game is really good. it has a few minor flaws, but most of it is pretty great. And I would probably give it maybe the same. I think I gave the first game a 9 out of 10. I would probably give this a 9 out of 10 as well. It has a few minor flaws, and I think a few of the characters I didn't really like that much, but overall most of it was really good. I liked most of the characters, and I like most of the gameplay and everything. And yeah, I really recommend this game. I thought it was a really awesome game, and I might review Danganronpa 3. I haven't played 3 yet, but I've been playing the Despair Girls one. What was that game called? Like Ultra Despair. The Despair Girls. I've been playing that game, so I might review that, or I might review Danganronpa 3 when I eventually play that. But yeah, these games are great. Everyone should play these games. They're really good. And yeah, that's all I can really say. So I'm gonna stop rambling, and I'm just gonna end the